the next step is we need to capture the item that's selected. Now, in order for that to happen, we have to first be able to select an item. So let's jump over to add item to order. So the way that we had this set up previously is that we had a product, name, a price, and a quantity. Well, in a real world scenario, you would probably already have the product name and price calculated or pre-configured inside of the application or inside of its database. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just delete the price completely. Actually, I take that back. Let's do this. I'm going to delete the text box for price. I'm going to delete the text box for product name. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use not a list box. I want to use a combo box for the product name. And then I'm just simply going to add a label for the price. And this label will represent the selected product price. And we'll call this LBL selected P price. And this combo box will be CBO product. All right. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to drop down and choose a product, have the price of that product show up in the label, and then be able to then type in the quantity that I want to add of that product. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to first double click on the form up here in the header, and that's going to create a form load event handler. So when this form first loads, certain tasks are going to be executed. So the things that I want to do here is I want to go through and I want to preload products. I want to capture the price of the current product selected. And I want to set the quantity default to 1. All right, so to preload products, we first need to have a list of products. So I'm going to create a list of product. And product lives inside of our models folder. So if we go solution models, so the product itself lives in a different namespace. That's why it doesn't show up with blue text. We end up getting this little pop-up helper. And if we drop down, it says, do you want to use CP first Windows app .models as your namespace? And I'll say yes. So that'll activate product. And then I will call this my inventory is what is the name I'll give it. And I'm going to set this equal to a new list. And then I'm just going to kind of hard code a couple of products in here. So we'll say inventory.add new product. And this is an inline initialization for an object. So I can come in here and say that the name of this will be a basketball and the price will be $20. And this is probably going to tell me that it's a float, so I need to use the capital F suffix to identify it as a float type. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to put in 3 or 4 more products. So I have a basketball. We can do sporting goods. So we'll say baseball, football, and I don't know, beach ball. And so we'll give these each different prices. We'll make this a $35 item and the baseball will be $15. So we've now created a list of inventory, and typically this would come out of a database, but since we haven't gotten to that point yet, we're just going to hard code it kind of as a proof of concept. And then we need to take our combo box and set our data source equal to inventory. And what this will do for us is it will go out and it'll pull our inventory and pre-populate the combo box with that. And then to capture the price, we'll have to say CBO product.selected item. And that's going to come back as a object. So what we'll have to do here is we have to do what's called a cast. So we have to first create a variable. And we'll create another variable of product type, and we'll call it the selected product. And then to cast an object, you use parentheses and you actually specify the data type or the class name that you want to cast to. And we'll want to cast this selected item to product. And then we want to update that label of selected product price. And we'll set the text equal to string.format C, comma, selected product dot unit price. Make that a little easier to see. Perfect. And then we'll default the txt quantity.text to 1. All right, so let's go ahead and rerun our program again and see if we ended up getting our drop down as we expected. So add item to order. We're pretty close. We just have the class name showing up in our product name instead of the actual product name. So that means that we have to do a toString override in order to correct that. So let's jump into product itself. So this is the product class. I'm going to come down here and do an override toString. And I'm going to return, instead of returning base.toString, I'm going to say this.name. So I'll save that and we'll run it one more time. And there are our product names listed. And if we click on a different product, our price is not updating. So we need to handle that product selection change and make sure that we're updating the price. So in order to do that, let's flip back to our form. We're going to double click on the combo box and we're going to handle the selected index changed event. Now, when that change occurs, what's going to happen is that this selected item will change. And when that changes, that's when we need to update our value. So what I'd propose we do is we actually take this step here of capturing the price and setting the quantity, and I'm going to cut it. And instead, I'm going to say update product info, and I'm going to create a function called update product info. So now down here past the event handler, I'm going to do private void update product info. And I'm going to paste those lines back in there. So what happens is that this is a piece of code that I would have to write here, and then I would have had to write here, but instead I'm writing it once inside of a function, and then I just call that function in two places, and this same block of code gets run both times. So it's efficiency on my part, and then if I need to change how the product info is presented, then I make the change in one place, and then it updates both situations. So we'll hit start again, and we'll hit add item to order, and there's basketball. If I drop down here, now it updated to baseball. If I drop down again, price for the football and the price for the beach ball. At the same time, if I change this to a 5, but then I change this to basketball, then it'll change it back to a quantity of 1. So it defaults to a quantity of 1 every time I choose a different product. So now the next piece is we need to be able to click on add to order to actually get that item added to the order.